What's going on, fam? It's your boy Ayo, aka Anthony ONeal, and you're listening to the EarnAnInvest podcast with your brother, my brother, Doc G.
One of my earliest quarrels with my wife before marriage was about, of all things, a pair of shoes. She wanted to buy them, and I, in my infinite wisdom as a 22-year-old, thought they were too expensive. She eventually bought not one, but two pairs. And 25 years later, she still reminds me about the time I tried to control her spending. Despite this anecdote, it wasn't like finances were much of an issue for us then. Well, that isn't true. I knew very little bit about money formally, but was brought up by two financially savvy parents who modeled exemplary behavior. My wife, growing up near poverty, had pretty much a scarcity mentality, except when it came to shoes. But for the most part, we developed a joint money identity together as our relationship grew. We were young and started out with little and quickly built wealth. Maybe because we were young when we met, I never thought much about preparing financially for a relationship. I hadn't even tried to maximize what today's guest, Anthony ONeal, calls my season of singleness. Should I have? Anthony ONeal is a best-selling author, personal finance expert, and host of the popular YouTube show and podcast, The Table. He has helped over 250,000 people set out on a path towards a debt-free life with his book, Debt-Free Degree. And he's reached over 15 million people through his podcast, The Table, where he always keeps it real, relevant, and relatable. Anthony ONeal, welcome back to Earn and Invest. Let me start with this question. What does a single guy like you have to teach us about relationships and money?
Well, Doc, man, thank you so much for having me back on the show, man. It's always an honor to be with you. You know, when it comes to me as a single man, I like how you phrase that. What do I bring to the table as a single man when it comes to relationships and money? It really comes down to how do we maximize our single season? You know, I'm not here to try and teach you how to find a man or how to find a woman. No, I'm here to teach you, hey, if you say you want to build wealth, the best time to lay the foundation of that is while you're single. It's while you don't have any responsibilities of a wife or of a husband or of children. It's just you, your bills, your debt, your opportunities. And I think we as in single people, Doc, we don't really steward and maximize that single season correctly. And a lot of people know me as the money guy from when I was working with my mentor and dear friend, Dave Ramsey. And I'm still that guy. But one of my spiritual mentors told me, Anthony says, I know you as the maximize your single season guy. Every season that you're in, you've been able to maximize it. You've made mistakes. You've learned from those mistakes. You've made some bad decisions. You've learned from those bad decisions. But Anthony, you don't come from wealth. You don't come from a poor family. You come from the average everyday family. And what you've done is during this season of your single life, you've been able to maximize it. So I'm bringing the conversation to the table that a lot of single people don't want to talk about. You know, how do we date on a budget? Or how do we start surrounding ourselves with positive, influential people that can teach us and give us wisdom in certain areas of where we're weak at? And so that's what I bring to the table, Doc, when it comes to, you know, relationships and money. I'm having a conversation that single people need to have because we chase the bag, but we don't chase and steward the opportunities that we have as a single person. And so that's what I'm bringing to the table.
Now, last time I had you on the show, we talked about the debt-free degree, and you were talking to people who are in deep college debt. And, you know, you could fall back on your own experience. You said, okay, look, I was in college debt. I did it wrong. Here's how you can do it better. Tell me about some of your experiences with relationship and money. What mistakes did you make that kind of led to this understanding of the season of singleness?
You know, one of the things I talk about in my course that's coming out here soon is really having your core solid and core healthy. You know, when you work out at the gym, Doc, you know, they always tell you, hey, when you're doing squats, when you're doing pull-ups, whenever you're doing, use your core, your abs to be stronger and to be better. So to remix it into what you just asked me is going back to my story. You know, I was homeless at the age of 19. I racked up $35,000 in debt when I was in college. Why did I rack that up? Because I was trying to impress her, because I was trying to impress my friends. I was trying to impress them. Check this out, Doc, because I wasn't strong at my core. I didn't know who I really was. And so I was looking for someone else to confirm in me who I was, rather than saying, you know what, let me just build myself up. And so because I was so really, really desiring to have friendships, really, really desiring to be accepted going into college, because I really, really, really wanted a kiss from a young lady, I was like, yo, let me go spend this money on her. Let me go buy this purse. Let me go buy these roses. Let me go spend $150 on a credit card to take her out to Red Lobster. And it was all because I didn't really know and accept who I was at my core. And so when I think about some of the things I've learned from is, before I can entertain someone else, I need to know who I am. I need to really confirm who I am to me, because if my core is not solid, check this out, I'm giving someone else permission to tell me who I am. I'm giving someone else permission to tell me how I should think. I'm giving someone else permission to tell me how I should live my life. And that's just not a healthy move for any singles. We need to be so solid of who we are. We need to have a solid vision of where we're going. We need to have a solid game plan. So that way, hey, listen, any relationships that come in, whether this is a dating, friendship, mentorship, or you're mentoring someone, at the core of it all, we all need to be aligned. We don't have to be alike, but we all need to be aligned.
Part of what you're talking about there is that stress to impress, right? You thought you had to have the flowers and the nice clothes and stuff like that. I'm wondering if the story is different for men and women, and specifically part of your demographic, Black men. Is it a different story depending on your gender or your socioeconomic or racial class?
I don't think it's much of a difference. I think that we experience it differently, but the weight is still the same. Experiences may be differently for men. Experiences may be differently for ladies. And then honestly, the experiences will be differently for when it comes to a Black man compared to a white man, to the Black culture compared to the white culture, or to the Hispanic culture, or to the Asian culture. We all experience it differently, but the weight of it all is still going to be somewhat the same. But again, I think it goes back to just really building and strengthening your core. And when I say core, I'm talking about deep down in, who are you? Why were you created? What's your purpose? Where are you going? Why do you desire to go where you want to go? When we can really get that down to our core, we'll be a solid individual.
I want to jump into the course, and especially the 8 pillars which the course is built on. But before we do, you and I have already mentioned a few times this season of singleness. Mm-hmm. I've never heard those words together. Tell me what that means.
When I say the season of singleness, is everything is a season. You know, you have that teenager season. Did we steward that well? And I'll be honest, I didn't steward that well. Then we have that season of 18 single season where you're by yourself. Then you have that season of, hey, you're newly married, so that's the newly married season. Then you have that season of, I'm a parent and a spouse. Then you have that season of what they call it, empty nesters. Like you're in the empty nester season, to where it's just you or you and your spouse. And I think every season is a stage of life. And how do we operate and steward each season that we're in? If I could go back to my high schooler self, there were so many different things. There were so many things I would tell myself to do differently. One is, don't worry about impressing your friends. 2, focus on your educators and your teachers, because while, yes, they got on your nerves, while, yes, they were not always 100% right, they were doing their job to set you up to win in the future. And if I would have listened to my teachers, listened to my professors, listened to my mentors back then when I was in high school, listened to my step team brothers or the basketball brothers, or, what coach was saying, I'll be a lot better. So everything is a season. So single season is, okay, we're by ourselves. How are we operating in this season? Are we worried about what culture's saying? Are we worried about what's popular? Are we worried about what's being accepted? Or are we stepping back and writing down our vision, which is one of the pillars that I'm talking about within my course? Are we sitting down and saying, okay, hey, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. And everyone has to be aligned with that. So single season just means everything is a season. A season comes to an end. This single season is going to come to an end. What are we planting right now during this season there's only what I'm not a planter, so I don't know, but you can plant things, fruit and stuff like that for a particular season. But in other seasons, it's not good to plant it because it cannot grow. It will not manifest. So for me, it's like you can't get back this time when you're single. And when you get married, you can't go back tomorrow. Well, you can, but the whole purpose of getting married is so you don't go back. And so I just want to encourage people to, while you're in this single season, this is not a permanent state for the majority of us. Let's use it correctly and let's set ourselves up to win. So our future spouses, our future kids can be grateful. And the last time I was on your show, there's a quote that I'm very well known for is that the caliber of our future will be determined by the choices we made today. And for this particular conversation, I will add to that the caliber of our next season will be determined by the choices we make in this season.
It's an important point, right? Because each season, if done well, prepares you for the next season. Let's talk about finances and financial outlook. How important is it to have that right in order to move towards a romantic relationship?
Oh, it's very important. I mean, it's very important. One of the things I'm telling myself now is that I refuse to tell my wife no, because I told all my girls who became friends in the past, yes. Because everyone says yes to the girlfriends, for the guys, everyone has a girlfriend. And one of the most common reasons for divorce is the lack of communication around money. So it's not the lack of money, it's the lack of thought process around money when it comes to marriages. And so as I'm in this financial space, I am sitting down with married couples often, and I'm coaching them through money, not through relationship advice, because I'm single. I can't give you relationship advice, but I can give you money advice, right? And when I talk to them, man, listen, Doc, it's, well, he this and he that, and he doesn't want to do this with his money, or she bought this, and oh my gosh, we don't agree on, I want to go buy the Lamborghini, or he just wants me to do this, or I want to go put this $2,000 wig on my head and he doesn't get it. It's like, you don't have the conversation of money. So for me, it's all about how am I one couple? Here's a good example. One, he came into the relationship debt free. She came into the relationship with debt. When they got married, he was like, yo, you're going to keep your job and you're going to pay off your debt. And she was like, well, wait, I thought we're married and we're doing this together. So shouldn't we be working at this together? He was like, no, that was your money. That was your debt. You're going to pay for it. I'm going to take care of the house. And that was an argument because they didn't have that. Well, here's my thing. She was making the money, Doc, by herself. And she didn't steward that season correctly. She wasn't using her single season wisely, but she had the red bottoms. She had the Gucci backpack. She had the Louis Vuitton purse. She had the real nice things, but she wasn't using that time and those financial resources when she had no responsibilities to take care of her debt at the time. So one of the things I talk about on my show, The Table with Anthony ONeal, is how do we start eliminating debt? And one of the things I'm going to be focusing on this year is, as a single person, when it comes to the time part, how do we start focusing on eliminating our debt? Not saying that you need to be debt free before you get married, but your spouse should see fruit of your labor. He shouldn't just see all of your issues. He should see like, yo, she's been working on this, or yo, he's been working on this. So I trust his mind. We won't have an argument with that. And so for me, while you're single, how you handle your finances will impact your future relationship in a healthy way or in a negative way. Everyone knows Anthony ONeal is single. But if my wife comes to me with debt, all I want to see is, okay, have you been working on this debt? Have you been intentional about eliminating this debt? Or let's just say she doesn't have any debt. Let's say she's coming to me and she's debt free. Okay, cool. Are you building wealth? Are you investing? Are you making wise purchases? And so that's the main thing for me, Doc, is there a strategic plan around the finances? Or are you just being lazy and just spending money to just be spending money? Do you have a vision for your money? Are you writing? Do you have a budget? Are you sticking to your budget? I don't care if you drive a Bentley. I don't care if you drive a Mercedes. I don't care if you drive a 1987 Honda Accord. I just want to see mentally, are you being intentional about the decisions you make around your money?
As I listen to you, I think about this idea that during that season of singleness, we're really working on ourselves. But when I think about the different archetypes that we interact with in money, there are a few different, right? There's like a saver, the spender, high wage earner. I'm not necessarily any of them are good or bad. It's just different people interact with money differently. How do you prepare for a relationship when you really don't know what archetype the person you're going to end up with is? In other words, you can work on yourself, but a lot of times there's that big unknown out there of what the other person's going to be.
I don't really think you can really prepare for that, Doc. I think what you have to do is be cool with understanding that, hey, you may meet a spender. You may meet a saver. I'm a spender saver.
What does that mean?
You know what I'm saying? Like I love spending money on cars and on my home, but I'm also very well known for that first date. I'm not spending a lot of money on you. I have this Gucci backpack behind me, as you can see. I know your podcasters can't see it, but you see the Gucci backpack behind me. I didn't buy that. It was a gift given to me by someone because, I opened up a lot of doors for her. And she said, hey, I just want to say thank you. My Gucci shoes that I have, I didn't buy that. It was a birthday gift given to me from my best friend. I don't spend a lot of money on name brand stuff. I'm happy going to ASOS, to Ross, to Target. So I'm not going to spend a lot of money over there. So I save a lot of money over there. But now when you pull into my garage, you're going to see, some nice cars. And that's fine. So I'm I'm going to spend over here, but then also I'm going to save money over here. And I think that is fine. That is cool. As long as you are understanding that, hey, your spouse may come in and she may be the spender. Cool. Great. Now what you got to do is you got to have the hard conversation. On my website, I came out with this free ebook, Doc. It's called How to Have the Hard Conversations While Dating. Right. And inside that hard conversation, I'm giving them about 5 questions to ask around money. So you could best know how to approach that individual and have that conversation up front in a very comfortable and non-alarming way. Because I'm a spender. So anytime I go buy a car, it's going to be an expensive car. Of course, I'm going to pay cash for it. I'm not going to finance it. But then for a lady, she may be like, well, you spend a lot of money on the cars, but babe, you don't spend a lot of money on dating. Cool. Let's have that conversation up front. So now I know how to deal with you and you know how to deal with me, and we can still grow and progress. So I'm honestly not concerned about what she will be for me. We're just going to have a clear conversation up front. And as long as I see that she is focused on, she may be the spender, like she may be the saver, Doc. Let's be honest. She may be the saver, right? She may be the couponer. I'm only going to buy things on coupons. I'm going to go to Walmart and grocery stores and coupon it. Cool, great. Just don't give me a hard time when I want to do something nice for you. Don't give me a hard time to say, babe, the next 3 years, I want to go ahead and trade in this car and get another car. Now you're getting an attitude with me. We just got to balance each other out. But honestly, I think, Doc, if it's a perfect world, I would love for my wife to be the saver or the savers or watch this. Because I'm the spender saver. So I spend first, save next. I wouldn't mind if she's a saver first, spend next, because now we balance each other out. But if we're both the spender saver or if she's just a spender, then we just got to be very clear with our budget and make sure that we stick to that.
Let me repeat that point. So what you're saying is that even if you have different money perspectives, if you communicate and at least understand how you come and approach the problem, it still can work.
Absolutely. I mean, I think any situation can work with the money as long as mentally we are going in the same direction. We are aligned. It cannot work if I say, hey, I want to avoid debt and build wealth. And she says, I want to use OPM, other people's money, and build wealth off of that. Well, we can't. That's not alignment. So we can't work on that. Watch this. I'm not saying that she's bad for that or she's wrong for that. So I don't have a problem with people who want to use other people's money. Cool, great. That's just not what I want to do as Anthony ONeal. So we're already setting ourselves up for a failure down the road. But let's just say we both say, hey, we want to avoid debt and build wealth, but I'm the spender. Great. The vision is aligned. Now let's just make sure we get aligned on how we're going to get there. And we get there by sticking to the budget that we set at the beginning of the month.
So I want to pivot to your course, which focuses on maximizing your season of singleness. you teach the 8-pillar blueprint. And I want to go through some of these pillars because I think it's important. And it's certainly at the core of getting to the bottom of the season of singleness. One of them is your spiritual journey. And I just wanted to ask, how important is spirituality?
I mean, it is very important. I am a practicing Christian, Baptist, raised and born and raised. And some people may be of opposite faith. Totally respect that, right? So when I speak from this angle, I speak from a Christian angle and not disrespecting any other faith that's out there who may be listening to your podcast. But I firmly believe that for me, if I don't have a relationship with God, then I really won't know why I was placed on this earth. And I believe that when I have that connection with God, I know my purpose, I know my assignment, I can operate better. And I think your spiritual walk, your spiritual practice is very, very important because, in my Bible, it says, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. In my Bible, it says, to whom much is given, much is also required. And so everything I believe, for me, the Bible is my navigation system throughout life. The Bible doesn't talk positive about debt, but then watch out. It doesn't say it's a sin to have debt. It just says, hey, the borrower is slave to the lender. And I don't want to be a slave. And so for me, I'm going to avoid borrowing money. So that way I'm passing down generational wealth and passing down legacy. So my spiritual journey is very, very important. And inside the course, I walk through for those who are practicing the Christian faith and the Christian walk. Here's how I grew spiritually. Here's what I do. Here's how I read. Here's how I journal. Here's how I pray. And here's how I live that life out. But man, to be honest, I have a lot of friends who are Muslims and we don't necessarily agree on the Jesus Christ philosophy. Great, man. But those Muslims I love dearly and I listen to them. I have friends who are atheists, don't believe in a higher power. They just believe in, we're just here. And I'm like, oh, cool, great. I respect that. But for me, my spiritual walk has tremendously impacted my life. And I think it's important, Dot, to really know God and know why he put you here, because I believe he put us all here for a purpose and for a reason. And if we can get that purpose and that reason, man, life would be easier. Not easy, but easier.
In the listing of the pillars that I saw, that was right there at the top. You were intentional about making that the first one.
Absolutely. I mean, everything starts with the foundation of my Christianity walk. I don't believe that I would be where I am today without God. When I've made mistakes, I believe God is the one who covered me in those mistakes. When I should have been, I was homeless, man. I contemplated suicide. I had a spiritual encounter during that time that prevented me from doing something stupid to my life. I have a lot of testimonies that I share inside this course that I relate and I give credit to God for walking me through it. And from I worked with Dave Ramsey for 6 years. That was God. I didn't deserve that opportunity to sit up underneath a great man of that caliber and to still be able to call him a friend and a brother. That's God. To be able to do what I'm doing today, traveling around the world, making the kind of money I'm making today, to be on your podcast, I believe that's God. I am working hard and I am performing. And so my philosophy is pray like it all depends on him, work like it all depends on me. And together we just gonna get it done.
We are talking with Anthony ONeal about our single season. We're going to take a short break. I'm Doc G, and this is the Earn and Invest podcast. All around the world, tech companies are innovating and driving returns for investors. Our crowd analyzes companies across the global private market, selecting those with the greatest growth potential, then brings them to you. From personalized medicine to cybersecurity to robotics, quantum computing, and more, in state-of-the-art labs, startup garages, and anywhere in between, our crowd is identifying innovators so you can invest when growth potential is greatest, early. Our crowd's accredited investors have already invested over $1 billion in growing tech companies, and many of their members have benefited from the 46 IPOs or sale exits of their investments. Now you can truly diversify your portfolio by investing early in innovative private market companies at our crowd. Join the fastest growing venture capital investments community at ourcrowd.com/EAI. That's OURCROWD.com/EAI.
I.
Another one of the pillars is life vision. Often the season of singleness happens when we're young, right? How much can a young person really know what their true life vision is?
You know, that vision, I talk about this in the course too, that vision is going to change. You know, the vision, if you're 18 listening to this podcast and you're going into college, your vision right now may only be for the next 4 to 5 years. I want to get through college. I want to be this A student. I want to avoid this. And, you know, I want to graduate with this so I can become XYZ. Cool, great. That's your vision right now. As you grow, as you mature, as you evolve, so will your vision, so will your goals. And that's fine. You know, with me stepping out on my own here last year from Ramsey Solutions, my vision changed because my life changed. Cool. I had to go back to my drawing board, spend some time and literally write out my vision, because your vision from the spiritual angle, Bible is our navigation system and not for life. Vision is telling you what's your navigation system for where you're going with your life. So if you want to be that doctor, if you want to be that lawyer, if you want to be this entrepreneur and impact thousands of people, well, you need to sit down and clearly write down exactly what's your vision. And there's 3 components to me when I think about the vision for my life. The vision for my life is I want to be the best husband I possibly can to my wife in the future. From there, I want to be the best father to the kids that God gives me to steward well. Then from there, I want to be influential and impactful to the minority and millennial culture, period, to help young people avoid debt and maximize their single season. That is a vision for my life. So anytime, let's say if I meet a young lady and she's like, yo, I don't want marriage. Cool. My vision tells her you're not for me. It's easy for me to say no, because you're not aligned with my vision. Let's say if I meet a young lady and she says, hey, I don't want any kids. Cool, great. You're a great one, but you're not aligned with my vision. Let's say that I have a deal come through the table with $1 million offer, right? And say, hey, Anthony, we want to buy your show, but we want to flip your show to only talk about this, but it's not talking about financial freedom. It's not talking about maximizing your single season, and you can't talk about God. Well, my vision will tell them, I'm sorry. The money is great. I'm crying because I'm missing out $1 million, but my vision is like to go here. And so it makes it so much easier. So when you have a clear vision that will change over time, it helps you avoid a lot of mistakes, and it helps you actually make the right mistakes that will bring you profit. One of the things I wrote down on my vision is a daily habit is to make sure that every single day that I'm making decisions that get me closer to my ultimate vision. My ultimate vision will happen because of my daily habits, because of what I'm simply doing every single day to get there. And those daily habits are helping me to avoid daily dramas, monthly dramas, a lot of drama. So vision is important. And if you got to change it every 2-3 years, every 4 years, cool, change. But you shouldn't be changing your vision every month, every 3 months, every year. No. And I tell everyone, don't have 5 different visions for your life. No, stick to that one vision and aim for it, and you'll be successful.
As I listen to you, what becomes crystal clear is that life vision really helps you maximize this season to be ready for the next season. And that's a really cool concept, I think, which totally becomes clear as you learn about these pillars. A few other pillars: comfort, core health, and physical wellness. Tell me what's the difference between those 3.
All right. So cool. Comfort, core health, and your physical wellness. All right. So comfort is about what makes you comfortable. I'll be honest with you on your show, man, because, you know, this is my second time and I love it. It was comfortable for me being in the all Black culture. You know, I grew up in the Black culture. I blew up in the Black city. Right. And my community loves me because they know I love them. I mean, I remember one time, Doc, my car was stolen from the front of my house. I'm in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And there was this particular restaurant that I went to every single week, at least 2 times a week. Every time I brought in celebrities to come do school tours with me or to go around the churches and sing, I always took them to this one particular restaurant. I knew all of the high school principals. I knew the superintendent and the board members of the school. I knew the mayor. I mean, I had not basketball. I had the football teams, some of the celebrities on the football team in my back pocket. Sorry to say, it's like one time my car got stolen and my wallet was inside the car, and I had to dispute the money because they charged all the money off. Well, the community came around me, and the community fed me. The community made sure I had a car. I mean, the community took real good care of me. So I was comfortable in that environment. Well, it goes back to the spiritual journey. God pretty much revealed to me that nothing extraordinary comes within your comfort zone. You're going to have to step outside of your comfort zone and step into your uncomfort zone. And I believe that when we step inside of that uncomfort zone, we step into our faith zone. So I get an offer to go work with, Dave Ramsey and his amazing team. That's coming from an all Black culture to a 98%, 97% white culture. And let's take away color from it. One culture to just another culture, period. So it's not about Black or white. It's I'm leaving this culture and going to a completely different culture. And I was scared. I was nervous because I'm like, it's not like I'm going from all Black to 50-50 Black, white. I'm going from Black to just totally different culture. But because of that, I'm on your podcast. Because of that, I've gotten into other rooms and in other environments that I would have never gotten into if it wasn't for, one, trusting God, two, serving Dave during the season I was there. And so I believe that a lot of our dreams are killed by our comfort zone. And I tell everyone, don't allow your comfort zone to become your kill zone. And so for us to do that, we got to step outside of that. Some people listen to this podcast, know that they need to start their business, but they don't want to leave their job because it's comfortable for them. They get that check every single week, and they are uncomfortable knowing I may not get this check every week. Watch this, though. Let me flip it on you. There's some people who have a business who know they need to let it go because they're not paying any bills, and they need to go get a job. And that could be uncomfortable. There's a young person here saying, you know what? There's some friends I need to cut off, but I'm scared to cut them off because I don't know what it feels like to be alone. There's someone listening to this saying I'm in a relationship that is uncomfortable, that is comfortable, but they know they need to leave it, but they don't want to be uncomfortable by saying I got to go. And so that's what comfort is. And it's different from core health. The core, we just go down to who are you? And once you know who you are at your core, it's easier to make the uncomfortable decisions because the core is who are you? Why are you making the decisions that you're making? Why are you crying and resolving things the way you're resolving things? Why are you crying? It goes down to it starts with therapy, but it's really not therapy. It's who are we? Like I'm a proud Black man. And I could say that talking to a cool white guy named Doc, because I know who I am at my core. I love all people, but I'm proud to be who I am. And I'm not ashamed of that. And you have some people who are kind of shy to talk about things and say, this is who I am. No. And so in this course, I really teach people how to really strengthen their core. I remember, Doc, at the gym, I was squatting. And when I was squatting, I was like, okay, cool. Use your legs. Okay, use your legs and you should feel all the pain in your legs. And so I was squatting this one time and I was putting all this weight on there and I was just throwing it up because I was using my legs and using my back. And then I woke up 2 days later. I couldn't walk. My lower back was hurting. My legs was stiff.
We've all been there.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what in the world? Why is my lower back hurting? It was leg day. So I go back into the gym and I told my trainer, I said, yo, man, I'm hurting. My lower back is killing me. I get my legs. And he said, it's because you're not using your core. I said, my core? He said, yeah, you got to squeeze that stomach every time you go to push up. Anytime you lift anything, if you do backs, squeeze your core. If you do squats, squeeze your core. If you do chest press, squeeze your core. I'm like, why? Like, squeeze my core and legs? I thought that's my butt and my legs. He was like, no. The core is your foundation of who you are. And it prevents you from pulling things or from hurting things because you're using the wrong things to push this heavy weight. And if we know who we are at our core, we'll use the right thing to make the right decisions. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we use the wrong emotions and it causes the wrong decisions. And so I really break that down. It goes down to the physical is I just simply believe that the healthier we are, the wealthier we will be. And if we take care of our physical bodies, if we take care of our temple, we'll live longer. will walk better and will even think and prosper better, in my personal opinion. I'm not saying that someone of a particular weight is unhealthy or they will not be wealthy, but I do believe we look good. When we believe we are healthy, we operate better. And so I just share my story of how I weighed 100 pounds. And I had a young lady inspire me to go hit the gym because she's like, hey, you're too skinny. I mean, I don't like it. And it took that to really get me into the gym. And now I feel better when I'm on stages because I'm in shape, because I'm eating healthy. I walk better. I talk better. And I believe that it happened because, my physical health.
It just goes to show you how interrelated these things are. When you're talking about your core, which really you're talking about identity, you end up using a metaphor about working out, and just the connection between kind of physical wellness and emotional wellness is just so clear. Let's talk about network. You've ever heard the saying, show me a person's friends and I'll tell you who they are. Tell me about that importance of network.
So my philosophy when it comes to network is 33, 33, 34. 33, 33, 34. This is not something that I came up with. I added the extra one towards the end, right? 33% of your friends need to be people who are smarter than you, wiser than you in certain fields that you're not good in. I have a couple that I look up to who are married and been married almost my age. I'm 37. They've been married for about 33, 34 years, right? And they're giving me wisdom. I'm like, hey, during your single season, here are some things you need to be working on as a man for your future spouse. When it comes to my money, I'm a huge Dave Ramsey advocate. I believe in having no debt. I believe in building my wealth without racking up any debt. So I allow him to speak into my life and I listen to him in that area. Then I have another mentor out there who I listen to from a spiritual perspective. So 33% of my network is in my relationships are, depositing into me. Then the other 33% of those people is who am I doing life with? Who am I dating? Who are my friends? Who am I always around on a regular basis? And you're right. If you open up my phone and look at my 5 most called people, you will see that all of us may not do the exact same thing, but you can tell that all of us have a similar vision. And that similar vision is we want to build wealthy. We want to maximize our single season. We want to be the best individual we can be today. We don't want to wait till tomorrow. We don't want to just use our youthfulness and just blow it all away and then get to our season of marriage and season of maturity. And then now we've wasted a huge portion of our life. So all of us are dreaming like, hey, what can we invest in? How can we maximize this season? How can I help you? Hey, yo, how can you help me? We're utilizing that. And then the last one is I give it a little bit more. I give it 34% because the Bible says it's best to give than it is to receive. Who can I sow into? Who can I help? Who can I inspire? Who can I answer their important questions? Who can I see and say, you know what? I was going down that same route. I did the very same thing. Here's how it ended. You want to avoid that, and I'll just be honest. As a single man, I've hurt a lot of ladies' feelings. And it's because I was trying to impress my boys, because I was trying to have this particular belt around me saying, hey, I'm the man. And because of that, I've made some decisions that I really do wish God would give me the opportunity to go back and apologize to her and fix it. But I got to own that. And so when I see younger men specifically today, and just to be honest, younger African-American minority men, I just see them and say, hey, listen, don't do it. And I said in your show, it's like this generation is coming up. I wish somebody would have told me that one of the reasons why I was so scared to come to the white world, because the generation before me told me most white people don't like you. They don't love you. And my generation now has this, he's white, she's white. Now I'm flipping that. Hey, man, not all white people do love you. Not all white people are horrible people. Not all black people are good people. Let me be honest with you. I mean, not everyone is going to be good or right or bad. You have to try the spirit by the spirit. And so I'm depositing into them and growing them up right and saying, hey, listen, you got to make decisions for yourself. Don't allow culture to tell you who's racist, who's wrong, who's a good fit, who's right. No, you got to make that decision for yourself because that's the decision that you've made. Here's how you avoid that. Hey, listen, you need white people within your circle because they can open up some great doors for you and you can open up some great doors for them. And so I'm just really just sewing into them and really trying to help them out.
So we are talking about the 8-pillar blueprint, which is part of your course on maximizing your season of singleness. Maximizing that season, does it make dating harder? I'm thinking about a recent interview you did on the table with my friends Kirsten and Julian Saunders, and they talk about their dating story. And Julian and Kirsten have been very open about this. Julian at one point said, hey, if I knew, Kirsten, that you were so much in date, maybe we would have never dated. On the other hand, I look at them as a couple who's really doing it right, who's working together, and who's had a very successful outcome. Can it make it harder to meet people if you kind of get yourself in order the way we're talking about with this season of singleness?
I think if you really maximize your single season, it will make it harder for the wrong people, but it'll make it easier for the right people. Because if you have two single people maximizing their single season, then they're both going to value the same thing. And it makes it easier for them to connect. But if one person is maximizing their single season and the other person is just saying, you know what, I'm just chilling, having a good time. Yeah, it's going to make it harder because this person will say, hey, we're not aligned. And this person is going to be trying to get there, but it's going to be hard to get there because one is aligned, one is not. But if I meet a young lady and she's like, yo, I'm focused on my career, I'm focused on my relationship with God, I'm really trying to get to know myself better, and I'm really trying to set myself up to be the correct wife for my future husband, and I'm working on myself now, that's going to turn me on, Doc. I'm gonna be like, yo, girl, what's your name? What's your number? Girl, where you been all my life? You know? And so it will honestly make it easier because now we are aligned for the most part. But of course, we need to get to know each other and see if we're aligned in deeper areas. But I think it'll be good for the people who are maximizing their single season. It will be hard for the people who are not.
Well, Anthony, I wanted to thank you for coming on the show. You point out what I think is such an important truism, that we have multiple seasons in our lives. And if we want to do a good job on each season, we have to prepare.
Yes.
And so for each season, we have to build on our skills, our knowledge, and our understanding of ourselves. Many people skip over that season of singleness. They're always looking towards the future, and they're not building a solid foundation now. I'm sure after hearing you on this episode, there are many people out there who want to know more about that season of singleness. Tell us, when is this course coming out? How can people sign up? Where should they go?
Go to AnthonyONeal.com. AnthonyONeal.com. You'll see the course information there. The course will be available towards the end of February, the beginning of March. It's only going to be open for about a week and a half. So I'm doing some great things. I'm going to be actually mentoring and bringing in some of my mentors to everyone who signs up. We're going to have 8 weeks of personal one-on-one with me on top of the course information that's going to be inside of there. But I'm bringing in some experts. I have some friends like Tony Gaskins Jr., Jamal and Natasha Miller, Rich and Regular are going to come on there. And so we really are doing some great things that's really going to help people maximize this single season. So that way we can really be good. Watch this. It's not going to be about money, because I can teach you how to be wealthy. But if I don't teach you how to maximize the season first before I teach you about money, that's where a lot of people fail. Most millionaires understand that before they can make millions, they need to read 1 million pages. Most millionaires understand before they can, build all this amazing wealth, it starts with the mind. And we're really going to dive into how do we do that.
I just want to make sure we're clear on those dates here. The wait list for the course opens up on January 30th, which is 3 days from today. And then the actual cart to sign up will be open March 1st through 10th. Anthony, where's the best place to sign up?
If you go to AnthonyONeal.com right now, you'll be able to sign up for the waiting list and you'll be able to get in. It's going to be amazing, man.
This has been the Earn and Invest podcast. And by having myself, Doc G, I'd like to thank Anthony ONeal. That's a wrap. Hey, everybody. As you know, I'm continuing on my journey to publish my book, Taking Stock. I just got the deeper edits back and I've gone through them and we are getting ready to go. Now, that doesn't mean it's coming out anytime soon. There is still a long process of laying out the format, getting all the images and the graphs correctly, and eventually going to press. But in the meantime, I've been thinking a lot about how am I going to market this book? How am I going to market my brand? I've started setting up a series of discussions with people out there I know, content creators, people who have had successful book launches in the past. And I had one recently with Christy and Bryce from Millennial Revolution. We were talking about this idea of brand. And one thing that happened to me when I went through the process of getting a publisher and submitting my manuscript is it really makes you subconscious about your platform. Going through this process, the one thing that felt very clear to me is that I do not have a huge platform. Sure, I have the Earn and Invest podcast, and I have a certain number of listeners and followers here, but I'm not a superstar. I'm not someone who's known nationally. I'm not someone who has this huge platform which is going to sell thousands and thousands of books. I talked to Bryce and Christy about this, and I'm going to play you an excerpt of our conversation about goodwill and what they think about platform. Take a listen.
The publishing industry has this great way of fucking with your self-confidence.
Oh, like, it's
basically a giant self-confidence destroying machine. And so everything you're feeling right now is what every writer who has gone through this process feels like. My platform's not big enough. I'm not Brad Pitt. How am I going to sell this book? The thing is, what we actually found is your reach is your platform plus the number of people's platforms who are willing to help you.
Well, and that's where, I mean, I've got a lot, thankfully, hopefully because I'm a good person who's pushed other people forward as best as I could. I have a lot of, through podcasting especially, I just have a lot of people who feel good about me and their interactions with me and my interactions with them. And that's
because you're not one of those people that got to where you are by elbowing people in the face and where they are. You did it by being a good person and you built up a lot of goodwill. If you wanted us to, we would interview you on our blog, and they go, absolutely, right? Because it's you. We love you.
You can find Christy and Bryce at millennial-revolution.com. Their book, Quit Like a Millionaire, is amazing, and I highly suggest you check it out. You can find it on Amazon or wherever fine books are sold. I really like their theories on goodwill, and I decided to put this clip in also because I'm about to play for you the after show, what I talked with Anthony ONeal about after we were done with the interview, as well as I'm going to put a section in from the pre-show, what we talked about before the interview. And I want you to listen to these conversations with the idea of goodwill at the back of your mind. I don't want you to ever feel like the things I do, the people I talk to, or when I'm in a room with content creators, that I do things gratuitously. I'm a pretty intentional and authentic person, I believe, most of the time. But I think when you are there for other people, when you try to help them in whatever they are doing, whatever they are trying to accomplish, you also are lucky enough to occasionally ask people to help you. And maybe that's the message. If you create goodwill in the world, goodwill will come back to you. And that is the Earn and Invest podcast. Thanks for listening and enjoy the after show.
Dude, that was so dope.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun,
man.
I love talking to you. You always bring your A game, at least both times I've interviewed you, and I've heard of a bunch of other interviews. I know that you have another interview coming up. Let me leave a kernel in your mind. I am writing a book. I'm a hospice doctor, actually, in real life.
Okay.
And I am writing a book about what dealing with death and dying has taught me about money and happiness. And it's going to come out at Ulysses Press in August of 2022. So if you ever have a space on the table, I'd love to come and talk to you about it. I'll send you a copy of when I have a PDF, which should be, it's going through final edits right now. Hopefully I have a PDF by the end of January.
Yeah.
I'll send you a copy. But if you ever want to have one of those kind of deeper conversations about what the dying can teach us about money and life. Yeah. I'd love to come on.
That'd be a great show. I'm serious about it. And that's in August. It's coming out in August?
In August. So my order of importance is, if I'd be on the show at any time if you have availability, but certainly if you're like totally digging the conversation and have availability, I'd say closer to, at least June, July, that kind of time period. But that's less important to me than if you have an interest in having a conversation, have a slot anywhere, I would take it.
No, let's do it. Let's do it because July I take off for my birthday. So I would probably say, let's schedule to tell Heidi, and I'll tell her that too. Let's get you in July and drop it in August.
Yeah, that'll work.
So that way it's good because we always shoot 1 month in advance. So what I'm shooting in June will be for August because I take off the entire month of July.
All right, Heidi. What I can promise you is it'll be a conversation different probably than any other conversation you'll have, just because my juxtaposition of doing personal finance as well as hospice work is just kind of an interesting mix.
Yo, let's do it. That's going to be fun. I love different shows.
Yeah, cool, man. Have fun on your next interview.
Yes, sir.
Take care of yourself. Thanks for doing this. Bye.
What's going on, brother?
Yo, how are you?
Man, I'm doing good. About yourself, bro?
I'm doing great. There you go. Now I can see you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how you been?
Man, I've been good. About yourself?
I've been doing really well. I was watching a few episodes of The Table, and I like your flow, man. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Oh man, I appreciate it, bro. I'm out here just trying to work, trying to do a little something with the new route that I'm going, man. Stepping out on my own and doing my thing. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm friends with Julian and Kirsten, so I especially liked watching them. Aren't they great on camera? They're like just fantastic.
But listen, man, they killed it, man. They got my DMs going crazy right now. Like, oh, they proved you about the whole $50 date stuff. And I'm like, so all is well.
Yeah, they're good TV, good radio. I can't wait to see what they kind of continue to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Likewise, man. And I'm a huge fan of theirs. I met them at FinCon. And
I was going to go to that one and I didn't at the last minute because of COVID. And I have some high school age teenagers and I just didn't want to put them at risk because then they'd miss school. But I definitely was feeling it that I didn't go.
No, that's valid, man. I trust me, I get it, man. I'm still some things that I'm still not doing because of COVID, but that one was a month after I had resigned and stepped out on my own. So I said, hey, let me get out here and make these.
A real important time to be seen too, be out amongst creators, especially, right? Yeah.
Yep. So it's good, man. But I appreciate it, man. How's your podcast going?
Things are going well. This is what I love to do. So it's a lot of fun for me. I like asking people questions. I like interviewing people. So it's a good time.